To be honest, I think all of us that have graduated here were given a great honor of this community and also a great education, a great degree that got us to the next step. For me, it was Wayne State University for my bachelor's in mortuary science. My big thing here is, and I'm going to be honest, is just to make sure that we continue that amazing education in a way that can be affordable, but also with the morals and ethics behind it as well. That's all I got.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Christy Swiatek-Whitson.
Raising student tuition, raising the president's salary, and breaking ground on a new building is not the way to handle a declining enrollment. I would like to help incorporate a new policy at the college that addresses wasteless spending such as this. Getting raises and new buildings would be an awesome result if full college and middle college enrollment were a reality. I would like to bring what I know and have been through in my career to streamline our college and its spending so it can once again be one of the top community colleges in our great state of Michigan, when I went here back in '87. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Joel Spots.
Thank you. A couple issues for me. If we work on anything as a board, it'll be decided as a board. But a few of the issues that I've focused on, goals for this college, I feel right now in higher education and education in general, the pendulum is swinging back towards trades, right? We have a wonderful CTC building here, and I think as a whole country and community, we need to make sure that that's being fully utilized both by us here at the community college, and I know I've already kind of highlighted that early college is something that I really benefited from, and I thought it was wonderful for me. Someone can fact check me, but when I was a student at the middle college, we were the top performing educational place in the college for standardized test scores, and that was a pretty regular occurrence. I know that students took advantage of the wonderful education they got here, and it directly correlated into their college readiness. So those are two programs that I would look into.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Doug Stevens.
I believe that enrollment could be better. I think graduation rates could be better. I think we can improve by working with local businesses to find out what they need and can we partner with them. That's all.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Daniel Brown.
Thank you. Two of the things on my list, and these may be pie in the sky, but when I first went here, I don't want to say how long ago, we still had basketball, we had sports here. I think we talk about enrollment, things like that. I know I'm told that the cost would be great, but you know, I think it would bring a renewed spirit from the community and students. Also, and this is a little radical, but I think anybody over 65 who's paid taxes in Monroe County for 30 years should get a free education. Whatever classes they want to take, karate, calculus, I don't care. And how about all these people up here? I'd vote for all of them if I could. I think they're great. I've had the pleasure of meeting them all, and I think they're wonderful. This is a great process. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Jamie O'Brien.
First, I was a Bennett. I went to school in Chicago, and there was a brand new curriculum that got started. And since I was such an underachiever, I actually finished all my high school credit hours in my junior year. So I went to a community college, and ironically had my associate's degree before I had my high school diploma. That's the kind of integration that I would like to start seeing between our K through 12 and this community college. I also believe that equal is equal. Equal can never have an asterisk when it comes to society and all of the residents of it. Asterisks seem to be showing up all over in the state of Michigan when equal comes to being equal. And I think because of the life I've lived, I I can define that better and to both sides of the
Thank you.
equation better than anyone else.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from
Sure. This actually comes up a lot when you're a fiduciary financial advisor. We're always looking to mitigate conflicts of interest, and what it is it's an event where my personal gain may create a conflict with my judgment in regard to something else. So for example, let's say theoretically, there's only really one employee if you're a board member, and that's the president. Let's say theoretically the president was a client of mine, and I was going to vote on his salary. That would create a conflict of interest for me because I have a financial incentive to his salary as a client, right? So there's just a kind of common sense conflict of interest that I could run into theoretically. There's a great deal of conflicts that you could run into. If you're dealing with a contractor that you are specifically tied into with a family matter, that's certainly something that could come up with a policy board. But a policy board helps greatly in mitigating those conflicts of interest.
Next is Charlie Abel.
Conflict of interest for what we're dealing with right here, board members getting a personal gain on something that you're passing or you're discussing where it doesn't benefit the college. You're putting yourself before the college. I can't give you an example right off the top of my head. I know we've had these questions, but the conflict of interest for myself is just simply having knowledge of the college's actions and to put the college first and not my own personal opinions or actions. Thank you.
Next is Dwayne LeBron.
Thank you, Joel. Joel and Charlie did a great job. In a nutshell, yeah, okay, let's say I own an engineering consulting firm and the college decides to go for a year with all the requisite dormitories, roads, infrastructure, everything, okay? Well, I'm on the board. That obviously, to me, presents a huge conflict of interest. My role should be, if anything, to help the board perhaps in recommending and finding an engineering firm based on my expertise, my experience, and in consultation with my fellow board members. Otherwise, for me to do the job would be terribly egregious.
Next is Doug Stevens.
Conflict of interest. Having personal gain from my position. Example would be hiring a contractor that I have a vested interest in. Hiring family members, using my position to influence that, using the position to influence others' positions to be hired based on personal gain. Thank you.
Next is Jamie O'Brien.
When you sit on boards, one of the things that makes you valuable to the board is occasionally things are going to come up where your life and your personal benefit could cause conflict with the, and obviously, there are means, where you abstain from the vote, or you bring it up to the board and you ask the rest of the board and the community if they have an issue, if you stay engaged, if it's in a gray area. Conflicts of interest are resolved by transparency, by being perfectly clear. I think I may have a conflict of interest, or I know I have a conflict of interest here. How would we like to, as a team, move forward? And then you let the board, the rest of the board, not you, decide how to best move forward to the organization that you're working with. And it's a pretty straightforward process in every board I've ever sat on. And I've never found myself later on in trouble.
Next is Christy Swiatek Whitson.
In Michigan, conflict of interest for school board service, including community college boards of trustees, refers to situations where a board member's personal, financial, or professional interest may interfere with their ability to act impartially and in the best interest of an educational institution they serve. This definition could include a personal or financial stake, like engage in activities that are impartial in the institution or use their position to gain an unfair advantage to themselves, family, or business interest. And basically what Jamie said is absolutely correct. You have to use transparency. We have obligations under Michigan law, and we have protocols to follow within the board. So we need transparency. Thank you.
Next is Benny Capol.
Yeah, at this point, we don't have to define what it is, but I can say that the biggest thing that has been readdressed is being just open about it, being honest about it. The wonderful part of being a part of a board is you have other like minds that you can talk to. You have mentors literally sitting right next to you. If a conflict comes up, or even a thought of a conflict comes up, you have their ears. And then they can help you make that decision whether it is if you're going to use your power to help something else out. In that case, you abstain from the issue, and you make it very clear to the board members why you did so. At that point, that's the best you can do.
Thank you. We are now going to take a question from the is, do you believe MCCC's campus is safe? Please provide factual evidence that supports your belief. You will have a minute to respond, and we will start with Christy Swatek-Whitson.
Please repeat the question. I didn't hear all of it.
Of course. Do you believe MCCC's campus is safe? Please provide factual evidence that supports your belief.
The campus is safe in so many words, but in layman's terms, when you have children coming here and you have many mentally challenged children coming here that don't understand everything, and I'm talking in particular about the bathroom policy, I don't think that's a safe policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Doug Stevens.
Whether or not the campus is safe or not, that's a matter of statistics. It's not a matter of whether it's actually safe, it's a matter of do the people feel safe. I believe there are people who do not feel safe on this campus. I've had fathers come up to me and say their young girls that are in high school don't feel safe. So, are they or not? I don't know. But it's a matter of feeling, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Jamie O'Brien.
Frankly, I don't have the expertise. Oh, I'm sorry, Jamie.
Okay.
I apologize.
I have a personal story here. I was going to talk about, as a person, as a transgender person, I was going to give a motivational speech here, and members of the LGBT community raised such a ruckus that that the management of the school had to cancel the event for fear of my safety. We have an issue. We have a lot of society issues. The one that's manifesting here at Monroe Community College is the bathroom issue. The way I think this needs to be resolved is, if I'm lucky enough to become one of the trustees, is we need to go to the township that we're in and the county. And we need to come up with ordinances as to how all public buildings shall function to create safety as the others have described. I hope to get to talk about this more later.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Charlie Abel.
Just to clarify, I also heard Dwayne LeBron in the last one. My hearing is going. Do I think the campus is safe? Yes, I do. The elephant in the room about the signs and the bathrooms. I think the bigger question should have been not about should men be in women's bathrooms. Why are the students anxious or afraid to go into a bathroom that they feel their gender allows them to go into? Who was it reported to? What investigations were done, and what was the outcome of those investigations? Was any discipline handed out? Those are the questions that should be answered, but now we're looking at the tail end. But getting back to, yes, I believe the campus is safe. If there are any concerns, please take them to the campus security officers or the campus security office, and issues will be resolved. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Dwayne LeBron.
Thank you. Thanks, Joel. You get a lot of help. God bless these people. I don't feel that I'm in a position to adequately speak to this issue. I graduated high school almost 50 years ago, 49 actually, so I'm giving up my age. Things are different, a hell of a lot different than they were then. Just turn on your TV. I do think the campus has professional security, and I think they have worked very hard to have a professional security force. But the day-to-day security on the campus for every student, do they feel secure? Do they feel safe? Gosh, I don't know. I wish I could say yes. I don't know. Maybe that's a good question. Maybe we should have a survey at the beginning of each semester. Do you feel safe? If not, why? You know? Let's talk to the kids, or the students. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Joel Spots.
I really like the survey idea, Dwayne. That's very smart. My first time on campus was when I was 12 years old. And like I said, I became a middle college student when I was 14. So I spent a good amount of time here. And to this day, one of my favorite things to do is just walk the campus. Right? I get early to a board meeting, I arrive, I walk through all the buildings, I check out what's new, especially with all the new renovations that have been really cool and brought new student spaces. I am really happy to say that I've never felt that I was in danger here. Even in high school, when I sat on the President's Advisory Group as a student, they asked me as a student if I felt safe on campus, and I said I did. And I took great comfort in that we invested in security resource officers that are armed. Which is something that I always appreciated as a student, and I hopefully one day appreciate as a parent here. Our security buttons was another innovation, our state-of-the-art cameras here on campus. They've really invested in student safety and security.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Benny Capal.
When I think of safety, I think of two different things. I think of physical safety and I think of mental safety. Coming from the mental health side of it, there is an issue. I mean, it's obvious, right? I mean, I hear it every day. The big thing that I think, what I said earlier and I alluded to earlier, was this thing between empathy and apathy. I think we really need to take in consideration the feelings of not only the students, but the staff and everybody included. The thing about safety is, for some, they might feel completely safe. For others, they might not. And it might not be a physical threat. It might be a bullying situation. This place should be safe to everyone. Nobody should come in here and feel not safe. If somebody comes into this school and does not feel safe, that's a problem. Let's figure it out.
For our next question, we will begin with Doug Stevens. Michigan community colleges have policy boards. Can you explain what a policy board is and how it operates?
A policy board is a board that has to perceive the need for a policy. It needs to formulate a policy. It needs to give the authority over to exercise that policy to the president of the university. It needs to follow up to see how that policy is working. And then it needs to assure that the policy can be enforced.
Next is Dwayne LeBron.
Thank you. Yeah, policy board, as I see it, is an entity that basically first, okay, is there an issue? We have an issue. Let's discuss this, see what we need to come to a conclusion, not a conclusion, I'm sorry, a remedy for this potential problem, issue, whatever it may be. This entity of people, members, do this in a collaborative way, and that's the best way to handle this. If it be issues with the, frankly, understanding Elliott Larson as it applies to the college today, that has been hashed and rehashed at the very large school levels, state colleges in Michigan. But that's just one example. It could be something as mundane as changing parking dynamics, things like that. But they are a good entity. Sorry. Thank you.
Next is Benny Gopal.
A policy board and policies in general are the guidelines that govern an organization, the process, the objectives, and the boundaries. They're adopted by the board and made into bylaws. Basically, long story short, a subject comes up, maybe it's new, maybe it's old, maybe it needs to be revamped. The board comes to the process of talking about it, coming up with a new answer, or possibly keeping it the same. They make a bylaw out of it, and that bylaw stays until it is changed. Basically, the idea of a policy board is to come up with the backbone of all rules and regulations, and that board is there to put it down on paper for use in the future.
Next is Charlie Abel.
Michigan community colleges have policy boards. They're designed to best allow the students to integrate into the college campus, what's best for the students, how to get them into the communities, and to provide them the opportunity to advance, to get the best out of their education as they can. Additional policies are designed just to allow people to follow rules and regs, guidelines that help them to accomplish the goals that they're looking for. Thank you.
Next is Jamie O'Brien.
Well, the first thing is Elliott Larson hasn't been hashed out. The current version of it is not even a year old. We also have Proposition 3, which was, it was promoted as a pro-life bill, but also has allows every person to sterilize themselves without consent or agreement even of their parents. So we have a lot of issues. Policy boards, one which I hope we would do is, I think the current administration is really wrestled with, we're calling it the bathroom issue, and they've come up with a containment plan for it at best. We probably, a policy board would be the right way to go through and resolve an issue like that, or a parking lot situation. But we have an issue that's front and center right now, so let's just get the college to solve this problem.
Next is Joel Spots.
I really like something that Benny said, backbone. When I think about a policy board and how we interact with the administration and cabinet at this institution, I think a lot about a musculoskeletal system, right? Your policies are your bones. They provide the framework for everything that gets done at the institution, but the muscle is the administration, the faculty and staff executing and abiding by those policies. As a policy board, we are constantly looking at policy, looking to review policy to see if it needs to be tweaked, or potentially adding new policies that are needed and are required. We're not an administrative board. We are not running this institution. We are creating policy by which this institution abides. So I think the backbone reference was really solid, Benny.
Next is Christy Switek-Whitson.
Michigan community colleges have policy boards known as the Board of Trustees that are responsible for governing their college. These boards are key decision-making bodies that establish policies to guide the operation and long-term direction of that institution. They ensure the college remains compliant with state laws and operates effectively in fulfilling its educational mission. Policy boards are governing bodies that focus on setting policies rather than managing the day-to-day operations of the college. Their primary function is to ensure that the college operates according to legal, ethical, and educational standards while fulfilling the needs of the community it serves. Policy boards in Michigan community colleges operate under specific rules and procedures that enable them to govern the institution effectively while leaving the administrations of daily operations to the college president and staff. Their role is strategic rather than managerial, and their operations can include policy development, approval, financial oversight, and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is, community college board service is a huge commitment. The MCCC Board of Trustees has regular meetings 9 months out of the year, plus special meetings added as needed. The Michigan Community College Association also offers various meetings and that board training opportunities throughout the year. How will you manage your time to ensure that you are able to meet these obligations? You have 1 minute to respond, and we will start with Benny Capal.
And before beginning this will be the last question, and we'll allow time for a wrap-up.
Thank you. Yes, finding time, being a husband, father, funeral director, lead singer, and everything that goes in between all those. I will say, if you find something important, you will find time for it. And the more you find it important, the more time you'll find. This community means everything to me and to my family for generations, and I will make sure to maintain the time that's needed, not only for actual just making time just for the actual meetings, but actually fulfilling what my job entails, which is to take care of this college.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Christy Swiatek-Whitson.
I am currently retired. That's why I would like to give back to my community and serve as trustee at this college. I feel I can dedicate my time and energy to bring this college back to its former glory days. And it is a priority. We need to fix this college so we have full enrollment and middle college students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Dwayne LeBron.
The key word here, thank you, Joel. The key word here is commitment. And for me, I'm retired, as said. So I have time to make this commitment. I've given this a lot of thought, and I've waited. I've been retired 5 years. So I have my physical, personal, emotional house in order, if you will, to take on this task. As I feel very confident that everyone on this board does as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Doug Stevens.
I've never worked just one job. I've always had 2, 3 jobs. I've retired from the fire department after 31 and a half years. That freed up a little time. I still have a business to run, but I'm independent and I can set my own schedule. And I'm used to being busy, and I don't think it'll be a problem coming to meetings and taking care of the business at hand. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Joel Spots.
When you're talking about time management, what I spend my time on, I'm a Bedford Business Association board member. I'm a Knights of Columbus Deputy Grand Knight, where I do a lot of charity work. I run a business where I take care of over 100 households in my local community's finances. I make time, I don't make time. My first priority is to be a good husband and father. And on top of that, I've already been on this board. I've made it to every meeting. I've made it to every special meeting because this place, as Benny said, is important to me. And I'll continue to prioritize it. This is a privilege and it's a joy to come and represent this community at every board meeting.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Jamie O'Brien.
I sometimes manage 4 and 5 projects with 35 or more engineers and technical staff in any given project. But I need talent, and so does every other business in this community and the world, to be honest with you. And this community college has the good bones to do that. So I'll make time. And not only will I make time, I'll make extra time. If this college needs me, I'm there.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Charlie Abel.
Well, like several others have said, I'm retired. My wife is retired. My wife and I have adult children. We have 2 granddaughters out in Seattle. So other than those 2, some working I do, I have plenty of time on my hands. So I can commit myself to this position to do it 100% and do the research that it requires. Thank you.
Candidates, you have 1 minute to provide closing statements. We will begin with Christy Switek-Whitson.
I would like to thank everyone for coming out to listen to the candidates and what they each have to offer. I know there are only 2 seats open, but I hope you consider me as one of your choices. Like I've said, I have many qualities and skills that I can offer the policy board. There are many difficult decisions that will have to be made this next fiscal year. I will use my qualities and skill set, along with discernment, to rectify and enhance the college policies and educational programs. Again, I would appreciate your vote. Thank you, and have a good night.
Next, Doug Stevens.
Thank you all for coming. I appreciate you all. I appreciate the board, these guys. I appreciate the board of trustees that are currently serving, that have served in the past. Thank you very much. I am asking for your vote. I will dedicate time to take care of the business at hand. I will bring the skills I've learned as working with people as a firefighter. We worked with a lot of people, did a lot of things, helped out a lot of people, running 2 businesses. I've learned a lot from that. I think I can bring something to the table. Thank you.
Next is Jamie O'Brien.
First off, whoever you vote for, you're not going to lose, and the group that's up here. But I want you to vote for me. I've lived an amazing life so far, and I've got a lot of life left to live, and I want to give it to this community in the best way I can. I want our children safe. I taught a Hooked on Fishing, Not Drugs class, and I had to change the whole curriculum just to put families back together after the COVID lockdowns that this state went way too far up. So I would like you to vote for me because we have some tough issues coming up short term, and we have some ways that our grid is changing that are going to require some really innovative changes to the curriculum that the bulk of my life will help long term in this 6-year term. So I bring diversity of thought and of social.
Next is Charlie Abel.
Thank you all for coming tonight. Candidates, fellow candidates, thank you for being here tonight. My career in law enforcement taught me to multitask, deal with a lot of people, try to see issues from their perspective, the law's perspective, and come out with a positive outcome. Safety on campus has always been a priority for me. I spent 7 years working here on the part-time status that the security office is. I have a very firm working knowledge of how the campus operates, the equipment and whatnot. And I believe I can apply those prior knowledge, skills, and abilities to be a successful candidate. Thank you.
Next is Dwayne LeBron.
I got it this time. I'm going to end the way I started, on my feet. I want to thank all of you for being here. This board, these people are incredible. I am very moved by who they are. This is not a political job. Nobody's in this for the money, okay? My heart's in this. I'd like to win a position, but I would be honored to shake the hand of the individuals who win the job. I'm going to make somebody really upset, but I got to say something about integrity. There's a member of this dais who's an old friend. When I found out Charlie was running, I called him up and I said, Charlie, how about I back out and I throw all of my support behind you? In keeping with his level of integrity, he said, no, Dwayne, stay in for the long run. I think that's indicative of all the members up here. I'm very proud to be up here with all these folks. Thank you very much and have a blessed evening.
Next is Joel Spots.
Would you quit making your closing and opening statements so good, Dwayne? I have a 11-month-old baby girl, and I have 4 nieces. And I'm a recent graduate. I've had all of my college education for the most part in the last 10 years, as I started in 2014, I think.